What if your double life wasn't just a secret, but actually a ticking time bomb? Netflix's Black Doves isn't just a spy drama. It's a gripping descent into betrayal, danger, and impossible choices. Now, when I first came across Black Doves, I remember being intrigued from the get-go that Keira Knightley was going to be starring in it. Now, that's not to say that she's not been in differentiated pieces of content before, because she has. But this just felt like something different. And then enter the trailer. And the trailer just had me hooked because it is right up my street. And I ended up getting super excited to watch this TV series. Not long after watching the trailer, of course this would happen to me, where I was waiting for the bus one day to go to work. And of course, every single bus that was going past me wasn't the one that I was waiting for. And not only that, of course, all of their advertisements on the sides of their buses had the adverts for Black Doves, which just fueled my impatience even further. So my friends, with Black Doves available in the Netflix catalogue of content, do we have a blockbuster, a 50-50, or a flopbuster on our hands? Black Doves is a gritty, high-stakes drama on Netflix that follows Helen, a covert spy deeply embedded into London's dangerous criminal underworld. By day, she lives a seemingly normal life, but by night, her espionage activities put her in constant danger. Helen's world begins to unravel when her secret double life collides with her personal one, putting the people that she loves in peril. The central conflict arises when Helen engages in an affair with a powerful man who holds dangerous secrets. This reckless decision thrusts her into the crosshairs of deadly enemies from the underworld. Balancing her covert mission, the threat of exposure, and protecting her loved ones creates a tense web of betrayal, danger, and moral ambiguity. The series builds a gripping resolution as Helen is forced to confront the fallout of her actions. She must leverage her skills as a spy to dismantle the threats against her while navigating the fragile relationships in her personal life. In a dramatic climax, Helen's resilience and ingenuity allows her to outsmart her enemies, though not without significant personal cost. The story leaves viewers questioning whether she can ever truly escape the shadows of her double life. We're getting 6 episodes that are roughly made up of 55 minutes in length. Now, for me personally, when I came away from watching this, it felt as if they managed to strike the ideal balance between the story and its delivery. And that's what made the duration of watching it feel like it was just the right length. Just right. The other cool thing with watching this TV show is that you almost feel like you're embarking on the investigation with the characters. Now, I know that might sound silly, but in many cases you would get filler episodes, or the episodes would feel a bit like a drag.
It's such a drag.
But with this one specifically, it felt as if with every episode there was something being introduced, and it felt like you were getting closer to the characters and the story progression because you were introduced to something new with every episode. Not making you feel rushed, but also making sure that it's not dragging on.
Successful.
When it comes to the plot and storyline of the show, I really did feel a sense of intrigue. And it's really interesting because the main plot feels like there's a subplot that plays a direct impact on the main plot.
It's a new plot.
And what I mean by that is there's this situation that's happening almost like it's in the shadows, which has a completely direct impact on the outcome of this big issue that's taking centre stage. Now, when the story kicks off, the Chinese ambassador to the UK government has died of a drug overdose, and his daughter is missing, and that's what we're led to believe.
What? What?
But the Chinese government don't agree with this, and they have their suspicions, too right they should, because really the Chinese ambassador has been murdered and his daughter has been kidnapped. Now, even if we think that there are people in the shadows, the further into the story that you go, you end up uncovering more and more, as you would expect. But it is jaw-dropping where the story moves towards, because there are certain organizations in play that give you that jaw-dropping moment.
It's my jaw. Drop it. Let me close that for you.
I came away from the TV show feeling satisfied because it's a roller coaster of a ride, and there's so much to unpack. It really does a good job as well, because it completes the metaphorical circle and covers all bases with questions that you might have. Towards the end, when they're slowly winding the story down, and you're hoping for more, they tee up a great opportunity for a season 2. So we'll have to be watching this space to make sure, Netflix, that you don't end up cancelling it.
Cancelled?
Now, when it comes to the critiques of the show, I really did like the integrated flashbacks, but I really wasn't a fan of the repetitive flashbacks. Now, for context, I thought that the flashbacks played an integral role in being able to drive the story forward and being able to deliver such a successful TV show. The thing that I didn't like was these repetitive flashbacks that were always the same, and they were always a little bit cringy.
She cringed!
I've sort of tried to coin them as something to differentiate because like I said, I did like the flashbacks. So I've coined them as the love flashbacks because they were always the same. It was so repetitive and it was sort of like, okay, we get it. We've been here before. All right, move on from it or introduce something new. But they kept on playing it, and I swear they almost guarantee play it every single episode of the show.
You're getting repetitive.
Now, I can see why they wanted to do this and what they were trying to get at as an outcome. Every time that they were playing these repetitive love flashbacks, they were giving you a little bit more so that they could build on that memory and give you a more painted picture every time that they ended up showing it. It's like recording a 10-minute video, showing 1 minute in the beginning, and then every single time that you cut to another scene and then cut back to that scene that you're trying to show, adding another minute on, and then adding another minute on, and another until you've exhausted and got to that 10-minute whole video.
Again!
Now, I wouldn't have minded this if they just stuck to the flashbacks, instead of trying to create something that just turned into a bit of an annoyance and almost act as if it was just sort of like a time waster. Instead, introducing flashbacks that followed the same theme if they wanted to stick to the character's backstory and history to do with their loves, but instead this just caused a little bit of a disruption in the viewing experience.
Disruptive.
Now, when it comes to the character portrayals and their development, I thought every character brought something different, each with a different set of complexities in some way, shape or form. Sam is my favourite character from the show, and he's riddled with conflict. Sam's journey is filled with personal struggles and moments of heartbreak. From a young age, he had one clear dream. He wanted to become a triggerman. To him, it wasn't just a job, it was who he thought he was meant to be. He worked hard to make it happen and eventually achieved his goal. But once he started living that life, he realised it wasn't what he truly wanted. Deep down, all he really longed for was a family, love, and a stable life. His inner conflict led him to make choices that hurt not only himself, but also the other people he cared about most. Trying to balance both worlds, Sam made mistakes that put his partner in danger. When things got out of control, he had no choice but to run away, and he ultimately ran away for 7 years. But even after all that time, Sam came back without really learning from his past. He still believed he could live both lives, the dangerous life as a triggerman and the peaceful life he dreamed of. When he returned, he took on a big mission, one much more important than he realised. Caught up in his own confidence and denial, he kept on trying to build a life while staying tied to his old one. But during a critical job, Sam had a wake-up call. He finally saw the truth. Being a triggerman wasn't what he wanted, and chasing that dream had only brought him pain and regret. That moment forced Sam to confront his fantasy that he'd been holding on to and face the reality of his choices. His story is a powerful and emotional look at a man torn between the person he thought he should be and the person he really is. Now, I really like Sam's character because you're able to connect with him on an emotional level.
My emotions! My emotions!
He shows he has a really good heart, and every time he gets closer to what he wants, it ends up getting taken away. When you come away and reflect on the characters, Sam specifically, leaves you feeling sorry for him, but also intrigued with where the story is going to take him next. Another character that I really enjoyed, and coming in at a very close second, was Helen Webb, the most famous of all black doves in the secret organization, who has allowed herself to stray from her mission because of love and instead set her focus on revenge. Helen Webb's story is one of fierce loyalty, inner conflict, and a destructive power of revenge. From the moment she became a black dove in the secret organization, Helen's life was defined by one central goal: to carry out covert operations and fulfill her duties without question. Yet despite her deep commitment to the cause, there was a part of her that yearned for a way out, a desire for a life where she could leave the danger and secrecy behind, perhaps even build a future of her own. But that life was never meant to be. Helen's past is a complicated web of love, betrayal, and broken promises. When she falls in love with a powerful man, it's not just her heart that's at risk, it's her entire future. Torn between her professional duties and personal desires, Helen finds herself at a crossroads. It's her love that ultimately pulls her back into the game, and she stays in the world of espionage, unable to escape the very thing that keeps her trapped. It's not long before Helen's internal conflict takes a darker turn. She becomes driven by a singular purpose: revenge. The lines between duty and personal vendetta blur, and she begins to fixate on one thing and one thing only: payback. Her focus on revenge grows all-consuming, leading her to make choices that alienate her from everything and everyone she once cared about. The mission, once her calling, becomes intertwined with her desire for retribution. As she becomes increasingly consumed by the need to exact justice, Helen loses sight of the very things that made her human. In her spiral of vengeance, she becomes more dangerous, more determined, and more isolated. I really enjoyed Helen's character because your initial introduction to her as a character is the polar opposite to the one that you are left with. One of the major reasons that I like this character a lot is that she is brilliant at being able to adapt to any given situation, no matter what scenario that she's put into.
I'm not angry.
For example, if someone were to turn round to me right now and I'm in a moment of happiness and they deliver a piece of news that is to do with death within the family, let's say, to be able to maintain that emotion without showing any signs of altering away from that emotion and naturally going to being upset, depressed, and negativity generally, she is able to not do that and be able to fluctuate between what's out on show with her lifestyle versus what's happening in the shadows and the underground.
I'm in control.
Her determination for revenge gives her pure focus and another level of strength. Now, couple that with her unique and masterful combat skills, she is just a force to be reckoned with. Williams and Eleanor are the characters that are my runners-up. They really do bring an element of comedy to the show. Williams and Eleanor both add a much-needed layer of humour to Black Doves, and their dynamic is a perfect counterbalance to the dark, more intense moments in the show. Williams initially comes across as a bit quirky, often providing light-hearted moments in intense situations. She's the character who, despite being surrounded by dangerous circumstances, keeps her sense of humour intact. Her witty one-liners and comical reactions bring a sense of relief to the show, making the audience smile even when the stakes are high. In several key scenes, her humorous outlook on life helps the team to stay grounded, and it's refreshing to see her navigate such a grim world with some levity. Eleanor equally injects comedy into the plot. She's more of a dry-witted, sarcastic presence, and her interactions with other characters often lead to amusing exchanges. Eleanor's ability to undercut serious moments with a quick, snarky remark helps break the tension, making her an indispensable part of the team. Her charm lies in her ability to deflect stress with humour, often revealing deeper layers to her personality and relationships, which gives us as the audience a chance to connect with her beyond the jokes. Both Williams and Eleanor serve as a comic relief, but they also bring much needed emotional balance to the show. Their chemistry with other characters highlights the importance of humour in even the most dangerous of environments. And they also provide the perfect foil to the more intense, revenge-driven storylines of Helen and the Black Doves. I really thought that Williams and Eleanor were great additions to the show, because initially, they come across as very serious characters, which is similar to the other characters. Then the more that they're included into the show, their personalities are brought out, and they help add that comedic element to the show.
You are so funny.
The characters that I wanted to really see more from were Reed and Lenny. I really enjoyed what their characters were about, and I feel that it's a bit of a shame that we didn't get to see more. Reed and Lenny are two characters that really stand out for their strength and leadership within the story. Yet I found myself wishing for more explanation of their backgrounds and motivations. Reed, portrayed with commanding presence, is a no-nonsense leader who carries authority effortlessly. Her unwavering commitment to the role within the organisation and her powerful decision-making skills are admirable, but I wanted to see more of the layers beneath that cold exterior. What drove her to become this powerhouse? Was there any part of her that still questioned the morality of the work she does? Or had she fully embraced her position? Lenny is another character who captivated me with her fierce independence and strategic thinking. As a leader in her own right, Lenny exudes a quiet strength and wisdom that could easily be further developed. We see glimpses of her sharp intellect and her ability to control situations with subtlety, but I couldn't help but feel that her character was underutilised. It would have been fascinating to dive deeper into her past, her own internal struggles, and what actually made her this formidable leader she became. Both Reed and Lenny are women of power, yet we only scratched the surface of their stories. The potential for their characters to be more fully realised was evident, and it's a shame that the show didn't give us the opportunity to delve into what made them tick. It left me craving more, eager to see them step into the spotlight and fully own their narratives. Both Reed and Lenny had extreme potential, because on one hand with Lenny, she has a lot of history with Sam and Helen, but then on the other hand with Lenny, she gave Sam his opportunity to become the trigger man, the very thing that he really fixated on wanting to become. We do get some history thanks to the flashbacks, but I just don't think that they went deep enough, and they really did miss an opportunity to do so.
You missed!
I mean, for me, maybe when we get a season 2, 3 or 4, at some point it would be great to have some sort of spin-off. And if I was to pick one of them, I'd probably place my bets with Reed.
The One Ring.
When it comes to the visual and cinematography, I thought both brought something unique and added a touch of class to the show. With the visuals, the classiness of the costumes really complemented to the theme of the show. The costumes in Black Doves brings a classy and stylish vibe that fits perfectly with the show's seriousness and elegant tone. Each character's outfit feels like a natural extension of who they are. For example, Helen Webb often wears sharp-fitted clothes that show her as someone in control, but also hint at the emotional struggle she's hiding. Reed and Lenny, on the other hand, wear powerful professional outfits that match their strong and commanding roles in the story. Reed, on the other hand, wears powerful professional outfits that match her strong and commanding role in the story. This sense of style doesn't just stop at the costumes. It carries over into the set designs as well. Every room has a polished and classy look, whether it's the sleek modern offices or the rich cozy lounges where big decisions are made. Together, the costumes and the settings create a world that feels elegant but also full of tension. It's these little details that make the show's visual style so memorable and engaging. I found the visuals to play a really pinnacle role in the success of the show. It created such a solid atmosphere that helped drive the story forward and really bring it to life for us as the audience. It really did well because depending on the tone with where we are in the story, whether it's a more relaxed and stylish piece or whether it's a highly intense and dramatic scene, the visuals all have that touch of class and subtlety in aiding us with bringing the story to life.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Which ultimately helped really and truly immerse ourselves in the story. And I really do have to say that I truly appreciate the level of detail that they went into with Black Doves. With the cinematography, it was the mixture of differentiation around all the different uses of camera angles that they integrated into the show, which really kept things interesting and exciting. The cinematography in the show truly stands out thanks to its variety and creativity. The expressive use of the camera brings a dynamic energy to the storytelling. For example, the high and low camera angles gives us that unique perspective, whether it's towering shots that highlight a character's dominance, or low angles that makes moments feel more personal and intense. Underwater shots that add an element of mystery and depth, immersing us in the tension of certain scenes. The slow-moving shots allow the emotions to settle in, drawing viewers into the gravity of the moment, while the sweeping landscape shots beautifully frame the setting, making the world of the show feel grand and immersive. This mix of techniques keeps the visuals fresh and ensures there's never a dull moment, as the cinematography works hand in hand with the narrative to heighten the impact of every scene. I found the cinematography to be really impressive with keeping me engaged because there are so many different techniques that are being used. And because of that variety, for me personally, it just added to the suspense and the intrigue, keeping me completely locked in and really wanting more.
Want more?
When it comes to the entertainment value, you really do feel like you've had the complete experience. The show truly delivers a complete and rewarding experience from start to finish. Even before you hit play, the promotional build-up sets the tone perfectly. The trailers and marketing do a fantastic job of creating excitement without giving too much away, leaving you eager to dive in and discover what the show had in store. Once you're in, the present experience is just as fulfilling. The story unfolds in a way that's engaging, gripping, and ultimately satisfying. It keeps you invested with its twists and turns, ensuring there's never a dull moment. You feel like every aspect, whether it's the plot, characters or visuals, works together to create a well-rounded and enjoyable watch. And then there's the post feeling. Once the credits roll, you're left with that sweet sense of wanting more. Not because it's incomplete, but because it's so good you just don't want it to end. It's the kind of series that leaves a lasting impression, one you'll be thinking about long after you've finished watching it. I came away from the show feeling I'd had a complete and really rewarding experience. Because if I think of bucketing it up, pre, present and post, it really built that excitement for me and it maintained it, and I think that's the key.
Winner chicken dinner.
If I think about the pre-promotional build-up, they did a brilliant job in being able to advertise and really drive the hype around the show. If I think about the present and engaging with the content of the show itself, they delivered a fulfilling and satisfying story, really showing their positive intentions around the attention to detail. And then there's the post-watch. After you've enjoyed the hype and you've enjoyed the content itself, it leaves you with that sense of wanting more because they tee up a season 2. And I'll tell you something, I'm truly excited to watch it when it comes out. Please, Netflix, don't cancel it.
Don't you dare, Mother, don't you dare!
I give season 1 of Black Doves a 4.5 out of 5 buckets, meaning it's a binge-watching blockbuster. So here's the binge-watching question. Do you think seeking revenge truly brings closure, or does it only lead to more destruction? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. As always, don't forget to smash a like if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and follow us on social media to stay up to date with the latest content. If you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more. I'm Matthew, this is Binge Watcher. Thanks for binging with me.